Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the second FCS late night FCS show of the season. Here we have Tenny, who's returning, obviously, a regular because we have two new members who are stepping in for Brady, Chase, and Drew. I'll allow them to introduce themselves, starting with Keo's here,
Howdy.
and we have Boomer.
What's up?
So it'll be a great show. We still have a lot planned, and it'll be awesome. All right. So first, let's start. I'm sure you guys have your 1212.1 tabs up, and we'll get started with some of the completed games. There was a lot to talk about that. We really should go through some of the more interesting games. Well, first off, we'll give a little praise to Austin P and Dixie State for being the fast boys of the week, completing their game really quickly.
Thank you very much.
Speedy boys, you're welcome. So Austin P defeated Dixie State 30-26. This was Dixie State's first game as a team, but it wasn't Mason's first game as a coach. Tenny, what do you think about this game? I don't know if you were here when it happened, but it was our first game, and it's AP's first game at Austin P. Lots of different storylines going down.
Yeah, I think the most important thing to point out here, like Mason's really cool, but the score entering the fourth quarter, if I remember correctly, was 23-10, and you lost that.
Choke a day keeps the doctor away, as they say.
Yeah.
But before we actually
Choke
keep
the
going,
rankings away.
Out of all the chokes, that was one of.
yeah, I've seen many
Second
chokes.
final.
That the Dixie State one. That was the first one, and it went final a while ago. Before we keep going, speaking of chokes, I forgot to I forgot to mention that. Actually, I mentioned it. I just didn't give him time. Tenny has an announcement that will to open up the show.
Oh, Eyes Gang, roll up.
So we are, as everyone knows, I'm the selection committee chairman. So we have a couple new openings opening up. We should have 3, I believe. So Baba is going to post an announcement and at everybody. We are going to open up some applications. It's going to be similar to how we did it last year. The only difference is this time it will just be FCS only coaches. I know last year we had a couple FBS coaches on the committee, but the community has grown a lot since then, and I'd like to keep it within the community and get some new members on board. So anybody that is interested in that, go ahead and fill that out at any time. It'll take a couple days to do the whole process, but
how many people are returning?
Yeah.
And how many spots are available?
So there's a total of 9. Last year we had 3 FBS coaches, so they will be on the way out. So we have 3 openings for sure, and I'm just confirming with everybody right now that's on the committee that they still want to stay. So far it looks like everybody will be. So we should have 3 spots open. So
All right.
should be.
So get your big brains out and type up some smart responses, or just tell them to ask Jake, whatever you prefer. And yeah, get in those responses.
Or whatever the current top 25 is.
Good.
Yeah,
Easy.
just the coaches poll. But anyways, speaking of the coaches poll, we had top dog Cal Poly defeat Alabama A&M 44-28 early. This was a new Big Sky member in a current talk show member right now, and an ASUN, I believe, newcomer who who came out really strong. Keo, do you want to talk about this game? Just randomly, I'll pick you.
So first off, we came in second in the Speedy Boy race. So shout out to the new person for being fast as fuck. That's always nice, you know. So it was a lot I don't want to say harder than I thought it was gonna be. He did a good job considering it was his first game. I don't think he played in any scrims. Um, so it was really impressive considering he's literally new. Um,
So what did you have to do for like scouting? Like, I'm assuming because you had nothing to really go off of.
yeah.
Did you try and keep up, or?
So it started out pretty poorly. Quite frankly, I was down 7-0 to start after I believe I fumbled it. And we're this is ignoring the um playbook mishap. Um which also like I was like it's unfortunate like obviously it was beneficial for me, right? But it didn't feel good,
Mhm.
having that go away, but it was only 2 minutes in, so what can you do? But it was hard going in with nothing, but I can get into it a little bit more in detail later if like we do an interview thing. But a lot of
Sure.
my scouting comes with myself, quite frankly, and it's really like it doesn't matter who my opponent is. As far as how it goes, it's just more of how they respond. But he put up a fight, I think really until the third quarter it was close-ish. Um, I was still in the lead, but it was definitely still a game. But
In
it
the immortal
was
words of Drew, oh for sure. Um,
yeah. I mean, I was definitely nervous going into this game. Just not even before any plays, like before plays were just because it definitely would be sort of an embarrassment. Because I did with a little bit of an ego, make this. I said when I was making it that it was sort of a warm up game, right? Uh, and as much as that shouldn't, it should be easy, like there is a whole different kind of pressure, if God forbid you lose that. So,
yeah.
but I was happy with it, I fumbled the ball, as is tradition. So it had all the key aspects of a Kyo game, and I look forward to next week against Stony Brook. I'm gonna fuck Uga. He sucks.
I'm sure he agrees with you. No, but
Yeah.
let's touch on a couple more games here that are finished, a couple that are going, and then we'll head on to our next segment. But the another important one here is our is the Buffalo Wild Wings game of the week, Mississippi Valley State versus Yale, an intense game that ended up 34-31 after some back and forth. Mississippi Valley State kind of kept themselves ahead for the majority of it, but in the end made a field goal difference. Tenny, what do you have to say about this? I think of all the games that went down, this one might be the one that you followed the closest on your vacation.
Yeah, I mean, and I followed it very off and on, so I can't really say too much about what went down. I don't really know the flow of the game, but it was good to see because it was one of the higher matchup games of the week. Obviously, it was chosen as game day since I wasn't around to start the UNI game right away. But it turned out to be a great game between two great coaches. Um, and I mean, Gale had he's a great coach. Nothing to nothing bad about losing to Brady. Um, it was an overall good game, and it was a good bounce back game for Brady because it's been a while since he's won a big game like that. He kind of faltered there towards the end of the season and was kind of feeling uneasy about himself. So I know it definitely felt good for him to get a win off against a good team right off the bat for him.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think it's important to start off strong, and um, it's like week one has a lot of momentum. I'm sure if you look back at the history, teams that won in their first week and teams that had over 500 records is probably pretty close. It's going to be good for anybody who's starting off strong in a strong conference, strong out of conference, to um, continue that, especially now that we're breaking it up because we're getting right into conference play. Mississippi Valley State plays in sort of one of the more tough ones, so it's good for them to get on ahead. Um, Yeah, so let's move on to our next one, and we're gonna go right into one of the lesser known games, but one that has some major players. Um, Between Savannah State and the Citadel. The Citadel topping Savannah State 35-17. One of the earlier games to finish, less publicized due to some less mouthy coaches, but a good game overall. Boomer, what do you have to say about this one?
Well, it's pretty interesting though, because this is the Citadel's very first game,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, like we had that situation with his coach Rage quitting last year, but
Forget.
I think that the Citadel was going to be a force to be reckoned with this year. I mean, what happened in FBS was Savannah State, who's Clemson in the FBS, for all those noobs that didn't know. That Savannah State is Baba, who's Clemson, who just beat the season one national champions in Marshall, and they shut them out. They completely dominated them, at least. So I think this should be a really good game. That I mean, it was a really good game, but I think that the Citadel is going to be a force to be reckoned with this year.
The ghost of 12-12 is coming to take games.
Well, there's plenty of games to get to, and we can always go back and talk about some of these close games. I'm sure people will have questions on them. If you felt that your game wasn't talked about, but it was a good one, then definitely drop some of your questions in the chat, and we'll see about getting to them later. Let's move on to some of the games that are currently going, namely the game day of the week, or I guess the actual game day. We already talked about the pre-game day. Right now,
I think wasn't you and I think you and I versus Mississippi Valley was actually the official game day, and
you mean
No, it was Idaho
Yale? Yeah, no, it was.
I thought it was back.
No, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Tenny was like, "This is the game day." Yeah.
Well, like, because I think we
Tenny,
had selected
Baba.
the UNI Idaho State game as the game day, but since I couldn't start until yesterday, we threw
Yeah,
the
that's
Gale
fair.
and VSU game in just so that there was something. Plus, they're
it's
like the
game
two
day,
best
game day
games.
junior. Whatever. But yeah.
Anyway, what were you saying, Danny?
I was just saying, what do you have to say about your game going on right now?
Well, it was a defensive struggle in the first quarter. It was a 3-0 lead for Northern Iowa, 60 total yards. Just neither of us could really get much going. And then on my first drive of the second quarter, I got some good big plays back to back. I had a 40-yard play and then a touchdown the next play to take the lead. And then UNI has the ball now, but he is at work. So we will see how that goes. But it's currently 7-3 with plenty of time left in the second quarter. A long game. Long game to go.
Oh yeah.
But anybody that bet the over, I know Poet did. It's not looking great so far.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I think it's worth mentioning that if Tenny were to lose this, I believe that means that Big Sky lost all of their ranked versus ranked matchups this week. Correct? Because there was Montana versus Dartmouth, which I'm sure we'll get to, and then there was, I hate to bring it up, Danny, but
I mean,
like I know I'm part of the Big Sky, you know, so like
yeah,
it's a bit questionable, but it is something to point out.
Yeah.
That the
But
result.
there's
There's
three.
been a definite power shift to the south, at least the beginning of this. I mean, week one so far.
Mm-hmm.
Because last year it was Montana, Montana State, and Idaho State were like the top dogs, and then there were some teams in the south. But so far,
Sure.
two of those three have lost.
Yeah, I think overall it'll be really interesting though, because last year out of conference was just straight up weeks 1 through 4, you know. So once out of conference was over, the power of each conference, you know, was already sort of established. Right? So
Absolutely.
the fact that it's not just 4 weeks in a row is going to be really interesting to see how it goes.
Yeah, actually, we'll take a break here from talking about the games for a second to talk about that decision, because I feel like we didn't really talk about it that much. But yeah, so the games were moved. If you hadn't been aware, the out of conference games, and to avoid confusion, we're not going to call them week 2, week 3, week 4, whatever. We're going to call them out of conference 3, out of conference 4. So there's no week thing, and so out of conference 3 has been shifted to week 5, and out of conference 4 has been shifted to week 8. So you're going to have two out of conference, or you're going to have out of conference 1 and 2, which we already have / are having out of conference 1. We'll have another one next week, and then we're going to get right into conference games. So whatever your first conference game is going to be in week 3. You'll have another one in week 4. 5, aforementioned, out of conference game. Then 6 and 7 are back to conference games. 8 will be your last out of conference. And you don't have to worry about shifting anything. It's all been taken care of. If you scheduled somebody for week 4 out of conference, that'll just be your week 8. It's just going to be when it's played. But yeah, so Boomer, I don't know what the FBS situation is, or if they do this, or if they just changed to it. But I wanted to get your take on this as well, sort of a fresh eye.
Out of conference.
Yeah, on shifting the out of conference games.
I think that it's really good because I remember discussing it. It's really like a thing to like prevent one conference from doing really well in out of conference weeks 1 through 4. And then just the team that wins the conference is automatically going to be seen as the best. This is one of the best teams in the country if the team does well out of conference. I think that it kind of equalizes it and splits up the power because, teams get better. Obviously the season is as the season goes on, teams get better or worse for different reasons. And like if you just played the weeks 1 through 4, it would be pretty easy to have a false idea that one conference would be really good just because not saying that they aren't good, but at the same time they could be seen as really good because they played weak opponents or something. Because weeks 1 through 4, you're still trying to figure out who's good and who's not. So I think it's a move for the better.
One thing I think that's worth mentioning that's more important for FCS than FBS is that coaches leave, and new coaches come in and they come here. So the fact that out of conference, like a team can't just inherit a really good out of conference record, because as much as the coaches poll can't decide what they want to do, like the playoffs is ranking teams and not coaches, right?
Yeah.
So the fact that it's not just set in stone, that Eastern Washington or Northern Colorado had a really strong out of conference because whoever their coach was week 1 through 4, I think that levels the playing field a lot in very niche situations like that, because that's not the norm that the situation with Norco and EWU last season, but it definitely levels it a bit.
Yep. And we have a lot of double dippers too. That obviously just doesn't happen in FBS. Yeah, so you'll have a team come in, and if it's like with Bryant, like I'm expecting hopefully by week 4 that we were all full up. If VFB would just win all of Bryant's games and then have a new dude step in, then like not only is Bryant going to be overranked, but the entire America East would be overranked based on the out of conference for the entire conference. Yeah.
Which, by the way, what is going on with that score?
VFB is happening to it.
Yeah.
That's a clown fiesta.
Yeah. So, we'll go. Do you guys want to go back to scores, or do you want to move on to the next thing?
I think it's just worth not too many more scores, but just as a grouping, there are a lot of America East teams that are new, like we were mentioning with VFB double dipping for Bryant, but a lot of MLR coaches have entered the league entering this season and specifically gone to the America East. I can remember 3 off the top of my head, and it's Albany, which is Val, Stony Brook, which is Uga, and then I believe River Ride is Fordham. Some, but
yeah.
And as at the moment, I know Albany lost to San Diego by 7, but it was a close game. Um, right now, I believe Fordham is losing. Let me triple check. Yeah, they are losing to Lafayette by 10, and then Stony Brook is beating James Madison by 20 right now.
Wow.
I think a lot of people expected the America East to be a lot stronger, and it's still week 1, so
Yeah, I think
it doesn't really mean that.
Yeah.
Yeah, with coaches that have
Also the fact.
experience. Yeah, go for it.
Sorry.
No, you're good.
I think the fact that they've proven themselves in MLR, right? Like this is an adjustment, but I feel like they'll adapt
Hmm.
the most. So
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I think
it'll
they'll
be
adapt the
interesting to
quickest.
follow going forward.
Yeah, I think it'll be one thing that, like, in 6 weeks or something, Jocks will be like, "Hey, yeah, so I looked at all the data from all the MLR players, and they've gotten this much better than everybody else at this rate, and blah blah blah." But yeah, definitely be something to look at because they have an idea. Like, I know with Uga at least, he doesn't really follow football, at least not to the degree that most people here do. But he's good at fake sports, so
He's good at guessing.
yeah, exactly. He's memed James Madison into the shadow zone, so the shadow realm, and
Yeah.
so I think once it picks up, they're really gonna pick up. Yeah.
Their conference play is going to be a bloodbath.
Oh yeah.
I think it'll be really interesting.
IV 2.0 in my opinion. We'll see.
Also, Naki is still there, so Sacred Heart is always a.
Oh, I forgot about that.
I think that's the best way to.
Naki's pretty good. Not Cal Poly good,
Yeah.
but you know.
Yeah, no, I mean like he's good. And like he's genuinely good, but
Mm-hmm.
there are some weeks it seems like he's unbeatable, and then some weeks he.
Oh yeah.
To me, every time we've played since the first loss I had to him.
Oh, that's right. You guys
I
had a
think it'll be.
series.
I got that +1 score differential over him over 2 games,
Hey, you know what?
and I had to play.
Take it where you can get it. Yep.
Anyway,
Take what you can get. Well, fellas, we ought to move on.
Fellas.
Just briefly, at least. Yeah, let's do. I was meaning to interview Boomer, and we'll do. Tenny, what do you think we should do? Do you think we should do? Huh? I was just gonna do.
Eyes emoji.
Yeah, eyes emoji. We really should take that off. Can we do anti emoji powers to take that off the list of available emojis? I wonder what
Or if you
FCS
keep
would
bringing
do.
it up, people will just keep spamming it.
Probably, but we'll do one at a time. We'll do an interview for Boomer, and then we'll do an interview for Keo. We'll do a double interview, first time on the show. Wow. You're all witness to it. I know. It's gonna be insane. So we'll start off with Boomer. Personally, I just had the first question to be, what was the biggest difference you saw between playing in FBS and an FCS, not from a quality standpoint, but from pretty much every other aspect?
Like playing an FCS versus FBS?
Yeah, like playing as Presbyterian. I guess take out the fact that you're a coordinator, just like in general playing. Yeah.
I mean, well, one thing is, I think that the tops, like, I know this is kind of getting more into the quality issue, but I think that the tops of FBS and FCS are like very, very, very similar. I think that where the FBS does have the edge, though, is that it comes to the bottom. I mean, and that's not anything bad, but I mean, the FBS obviously was filled first, and
I think everybody would agree with you.
I think that, I mean, I think that another big thing is the FCS has a lot more meme numbers, like 1212 and stuff like that, where it's easier to nonchalantly like just pick a number and you realize it's like 1232, and then you realize, oh crap, I'm gonna get a fumble here or something. But that's another thing you got to watch out for, is inadvertently playing meme numbers. Yeah, I think that it's honestly not that much different. But yeah, the biggest thing is really the bottom of the FBS. I mean, at least there is, because there's a bunch of FCS teams that haven't been filled. FCS,
Uh-huh.
but there's really not that big of a difference from like scouting or anything.
Gotcha.
To be honest.
Okay. Yeah, I guess that's a fair point. It's just kind of people happen to be here earlier, later.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, and
I have one thing.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry. What are your thoughts on the pace of play in comparison? Because I think generally we can all agree that FCS is slower, but have you noticed anything in your particular games? Presbyterian was not from an active conference, really, if I can remember correctly.
As the commissioner of the CFC, I think that I mean it's kind of hard to tell though because this game I've only played Ekstrom, and obviously he's a double dipper, so I mean that's kind of not fair to say anything on that end. But I do think that generally I would say the FCS is a little bit slower, but I mean at the same time it's really not that big of a difference in most coaches. But like the new coaches from in FCS, I mean you're either really fast or really slow. I mean there's not really an intermediate there. So if you're playing a new coach in FCS, I think that's going to be where the big difference is. Like, and in the FBS until I was at FIU, I was in the Big Ten, and that's by far the slowest conference, and it drove me absolutely insane. So it's
escaping hell.
Thank you, I appreciate it. But Jake, not now, Jake. But I do think that, yeah, like I said with the quality of play, I think that it is pretty similar in like the top and the middle quality tiers. I think that it's very, very comparable and similar, and there's really not that big of a difference in FBS and FCS.
Okay. So, as far as games you've played as Presbyterian, what was your favorite game? Not necessarily the biggest blowout you had or whatever. Maybe it is.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
Yeah.
By far, my favorite game is when I dad dicked that Baba. Rinse. It was were behind the entire game, and I can't remember what the score was, like 17-10, and Baba was like on the Presbyterian like 3 or something, and Rinse somehow got a 750 difference on a run play, and we returned it and tied the game at 17. I think Baba got the ball back, but there wasn't enough time left, so we went to overtime and won it in overtime.
Good stuff.
But yeah, that was by far my favorite game. Really close, really competitive. Baba was obviously chewing the clock, but I think
classic FCS.
Really.
Chew the clock pro.
Chew the clock pro.
Well, it's weird because Baba is chew the clock spread. So
I have a good meme idea now.
That was a very fun game, and I didn't think we were going to win, but those are always the best games to win when you always believe it.
Yeah, snatching victory from the jaws of defeat. Tell us about your current game now against Western Illinois on the other end of the blue hose spectrum when you're getting hosed.
Well, I guess it's really not that bad of a game. There's just been a few mistakes. Like we got a 750 diff scoop fumble return for a touchdown. It was pretty bad. But I'm only down by 10 in that game, I think. Well, Rince and I are. Let me check the score real quick.
Yeah, it's 24-14.
Yeah, 24-14. I actually opened up the game. It was 14-0 Presbyterian, like with 2 minutes gone by, and he scored 24 unanswered. It's the start of the second half, so there's still obviously plenty of time left, but I do think that it's kind of hard, though, because Ekstrom is obviously sleeping from 1 p.m. to 9 p.m. every day. So That's not even a joke, sadly. But I think that there's obviously still a great chance to come back and win it. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Nice. Any other questions?
I think
Tenny?
I don't have any more.
Okay.
I think I got my one in.
All right. Well, then let's get the double in this double interview here, and get to our good friend Keo. My first question has to be: is Keo short for anything, or is it just Keo?
No. Okay, so Keo has been my tag in everything since third grade. When I was making a webkins account and I typed random letters on my keyboard and came out to Keo. And at the time, I added 98 to it because, I was third grade and needed numbers or like XX at the beginning,
Yeah.
But it's been my name for everything, and it's been my name in esports, it's been my name everywhere since then. So it's not short for anything though, and it has nothing to do with anything other than random letters punched into a keyboard. So
Cool.
Yeah, it works really well though. Like branding wise, like I was fucking proud of myself for that as a third grader. Like I'm patting myself on the back.
Nice. I hope. Like that's how I feel with Dancer 21. The 21 doesn't mean anything, but I just randomly came up with it as a kid, and I just go by it. So I totally get you. And now I have to ask, what difference have you observed moving from the America East to the Big Sky? You're definitely not the only one to do that. You have a lot of friends move over.
Jason and Old Albany took over another one, right? I think that's it.
Is that it? Oh, I just felt like there was a lot more.
And Weber.
Well, Weber was
no, Weber
Towson.
was from the CAA.
Oh, Weber. Wait.
There was another one.
No, Poet was maybe.
Oh, you're right. Poet was a maybe.
The shittier.
I thought for sure there was 3. I can't remember who the third one is.
Oh well.
So.
But anyways, yeah.
Me,
What was
Albany,
the biggest thing that you've observed since moving over?
Right. Yeah.
Or
I
just
haven't really like. It's only been 1 week as far as gameplay, right? And it's an out of conference. But I think it's more consistently active. Like just from top to bottom, the conference has been more active play wise because at the top of the AE last season, there was me, there was Naki, and there was Poet. And then everybody else was sort of either a revolving door team, a team that would only finish 2 quarters a week, basically, like Rhode Island or Bryant. So, top to bottom, the league is just more solid in every category. But I haven't noticed a difference like play wise, because I haven't. Had the experience of actually playing against anybody in the FBS current or the Big Sky currently, except for you, Danny. So
that's true. I think about that.
That was only my 2nd week of like playing, so it wasn't like I've evolved a lot since then as far as how I play.
I guess we don't really play each other anyways. I think I play San Diego and somebody else, but
No, we do play.
We do play. Okay.
You're one of my games,
well, I'll have to circle that too. I'll get my Sharpie out for a W. No, but no, I'm just teasing.
At the last second again.
Yeah, that'll be me this time. Anyway, does someone else have a question for our good friend Keanu Reeves? I'm sure you've never heard that one before.
Nope, literally.
Wait,
unironically never.
Huh. Well,
Thank you.
Didn't expect that. I might do that now. Anyways, Tenny, Boomer.
It's so tough being like the first week of the season. There's not like, we've already asked about like coming to the Big Sky, but what do you think of the like influx of new coaches that we have? And it seems a lot more active like the ASUN is a lot more active and the American East is a lot more active. Just
Yeah.
what is your overall like feel on like the change of the FCS in this offseason?
Yeah. I mean, it's obviously just straight up positive, right? There's never a downside to being more active as a community, and even
Wait,
going
MLR
before.
though.
Oh,
I said MLR though. It was a little too active. But anyways, keep going, keep going.
no, I mean it's. I'll never imagine about more people getting enjoyment out of this kind of thing. Like it's awesome, and even going back to like middle of last season into like the hype around playoffs and like even like debate. A lot of it was debate. Some of it was straight up arguing uh from some people that didn't release rankings. But
Ooh.
I tease Naki a lot, but he's actually really cool, and I like him. He's just my rival. He's like the main rival in Pokemon games for me, and vice versa. So
I get that.
But it's just awesome. The more people that are enjoying this kind of thing, in whatever way they choose. Like some people get enjoyment out of ranking, making fucking amazing websites. Everybody can get a different thing out of it. And that's just great. And the more people, the better. So
Yeah, no, I totally get that.
yeah, and I think it makes on a week by week basis things a lot more interesting. I think as much as game day comes down to a lot of big matchups. That's a good meme.
Thank you.
That's good. What was I gonna say? Fuck, I lost my train of thought. As much as a lot, like there's only one or like 1.5 game days a week. I think it's awesome that we're seeing more people from different conferences sort of be active in game chat, and sort of give everybody the opportunity to keep tabs on their games. And I think 12.12.1 also significantly helps with that. But I just think that's great.
Oh yeah.
Because
It'll be interesting if we ever see a neutral party, somebody come up, be like, "Yeah, I don't want to play, but I'll like do a bunch of stats for you," because I
feel like if that situation comes up where somebody does that, that's just an alt. It's just somebody's alt that doesn't want to get on there. Main for whatever. But yeah, 12.12.1.
Yeah. I totally agree. So I guess my last question then for you, is I thought I'd have a question by the time I got to the end of that sentence. We had a couple last minute guesses.
Rain machine broke.
Rain machine broke. Question machine broke. Come again. Thank you. Have a nice interview. Yeah. Oh, then let me go to a random question generator.
Wait, I saw somebody ping me up there. Can you hum the theme song to your favorite show growing up?
Do it right now, and we'll try and guess it.
Okay, I gotta remember the melody. Wait. I'm not humming it. You won't be able to hear it.
Man, I'm stumped.
Yes, it's the Yes Baseball
song
for the
Oh my goodness.
I can't believe to be honest, like I'm shocked.
That's a beautiful name, Danny.
I apologize. I haven't seen Yes too frequently, but
yeah, it's the Yankees Entertainment and Sports Network. Only New York did it.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess
I've
New
seen
Jersey too.
Yeah.
Like, yo, fuck you, Lloyd.
Okay. Okay. I guess I have a question for you from the random question generator here. What big event do you think will happen soon that most people aren't expecting?
Spanish Inquisition.
Wait, tune it to the tune of FCS. Make it to the tune of FCS.
Okay. Okay, you know what? I'm not losing to
Or
Harvard
FC,
for what it's worth.
FB. Okay. All right.
Keep that in your dreams, dude.
All right.
What was the question again?
It was, what big event do you? I clicked next question just because I thought you were. Um.
Okay, I have one for Keo.
Thank you.
What's the craziest conversation you've ever overheard?
I feel like that'll get this video demonetized.
Don't worry, I'm not making money off of this.
This is what supports FCFB.
Yeah. This isn't earning us money. Dude, need more ad revenue. Where the fuck? What happened to that company that responded to Poet's tweet earlier last season?
Oh, that was
wasn't it,
Bill, right? Or something like that.
Steakums, yeah.
Steakums.
Yeah. I legally cannot repeat that conversation. So,
my lawyer has advised me.
I can't think of any questions for myself either, but I think if nothing else, like
Hold on.
for
Why is Jake bad?
Wait, what's up?
Why is Jake bad for state college football?
I have no opinion on Jake Roy. Like legit.
No, like
he's. I mean,
all right.
Wow, you are uninformed then.
You are uninformed.
Maybe uninformed. Devoting my time elsewhere to more relevant things.
Yeah,
No.
you're right.
Are you gonna apply to be in the committee?
Anyways, I would if there are no other questions, I think it's more. I think it'll be. I think it's a good moment to point out to newer coaches that I started last season 0-3, with 2 close losses and then 1 blowout. To 2 playoff teams and 1 team that I don't even know what happened to Illinois State, but it wasn't good. And I bounced back to a respectable season. Was I 8-4 in regular season, and I won the America East Championship games. So just keep your head up. Like it once you get the hang of it, even if you started losing, it becomes a lot easier, and you realize what you're doing right, what you're doing wrong. Strategy becomes really interesting once you've experimented with a lot of things, because the first few games are just inevitably going to be experimenting with different shit. So yeah, don't be discouraged if you're losing your first few games, because you can still sneak your way into the playoffs.
All right, I just posted in chat, and I'll say it here. If you're not reading chat, just post your comments in late night show chat, and Tenny and I will try and pin them if you have any questions. But anyways, yeah, thank you, Keo. It's been great to hear from a lot of different people. I'm glad we got 2 interviews in here, and it was fun.
They basically add up to.
Yeah.
As far as it worked out. It worked.
Yeah, it did work out. Being short-staffed hasn't helped, but you guys have, so that's nice. All right, so we're gonna move into the next segment, sort of here. We'll go back actually and talk about some of the live games going on for a second while I completely ready that up. But let's see. Is there any game that you guys have on your minds that is currently going that intrigues you?
I think it might actually be finished right now, because I know it's finishing up right before we went live. But Maine versus Tennessee State.
Oh, that one finished, yeah.
Was just finishing up, and it was Poet's return after abruptly leaving Maine and breaching his contract. No, but that was the final score.
It was 42-27.
Yeah, so that's a pretty convincing win on his end, and I think that's a good start for him, because he had a good season, right? Like, for what it's worth, he had some good wins. He also lost to some teams that somebody of his caliber probably shouldn't have in the America East. specifically Fordham, I believe it was, right? And Central Connecticut especially.
Yeah.
But I think it's good for him to get on the right foot.
I think so too, because that record in a big boy conference gets you at least a buy, or not a buy, gets you at least a bid. So yeah, moving to somewhere where he can have that kind of schedule is going to be really good, because if he can keep it up, then obviously he'll have a good shot at making it into the playoffs.
The fact that he can lose an out of conference game and feel like total shit about it, as far as like the quality of the opponent, like that's something that he should have won. You know, like a lot of the teams in the Dick, like if you lose to them, you know, like they were the better team that week, right? It's not like a ridiculous upset for that in comparison to somewhere like he was the top dog of the America East entering conference play, and I don't even think he finished third, technically speaking. I think that like he wasn't in the top two. You know, he didn't make the conference championship game, which is a disappointment for somebody that was touted that high, right?
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, I totally agree. That
I will say one other game that has been quite a shock is North Alabama and Princeton.
Oh yeah.
What was the halftime score at that? Because I know that
it was 30-7.
Oh yeah, nobody expected that.
And it's 28-14 in the second half with 3:41 left in second quarter, fourth quarter. So that's
58-21.
That's a huge win for one of the newer coaches against one of the hot teams from last year that made the Final Four. That's a huge statement win. Like, I did not expect that.
No, I don't think anybody expected that. I mean, even if people expected it to be close, I don't think anybody expected that first half.
Yeah. That's anyway.
No, yeah, you're totally right. It's a big one.
I was just trying to.
Anyways, so let's move on here to Princeton versus North Alabama. It's a bit tricky because 1212.1 isn't going to have the correct score.
That's what we were just talking about.
Oh, I wasn't listening.
Yeah.
I was preparing the next segment. My bad.
Yeah,
But that's a classic Danny move. Okay, well then let's move to Bryant Youngstown State. 69-30.
Yeah, I got no idea what's going on.
Nice. It's VFB, classic VFBing.
He's invincible, right?
Yeah, it's basically just into the third quarter, and it's a blowout already. I mean, it's classic VFB. It's an ugly game. Youngstown State's a new coach, right?
Mm-hmm. I believe so.
But yeah, that's a tough draw for your first game.
Oh yeah.
No, Youngstown State is Joester. It looks like.
Wait, Youngstown's he's a double dipper.
Yep.
Oh,
he's kind of mean.
He should be relegated to FCS.
I think so
too.
Is it
Joe?
It's Joester. It is.
Ooh. Yeah.
09.
Wake Forest.
How many R's in that? In Wake Forest.
There's only there's only one R.
There's only one R. Oh, okay.
Lindros.
Yeah.
I see Brady typing in the chat.
Brady, if you can come in here, that would be beautiful. But yeah, no, Joester looks like he's not doing super hot. But that's good, because we know that VFB, who won last year's FBS championship, is still on the top of his game. Although we'll see how long Joe stays at Youngstown State, but it's going to be a bit interesting to have two double dippers at these two teams, have two new people come in with this game already having been played. But even though you had Joe, who has experience being double dipping, he still got it. Yeah, exactly. So that will be interesting, as especially if the new coaches are loudmouths, which we seem to get a lot of loudmouths. but it's cool. Good to have people.
That's the most diplomatic way to say that. I'm proud.
Loudmouths,
I'm
yeah.
impressed.
Yeah, I mean, name callers would be the next term I'd go to, but you know how it goes. Anyways, let's do a little bit of conference talk, since I know that it's kind of early in conference. I mean, obviously no games have been played in conference, but
we don't really know,
but we've had games played and people are in conferences.
Yeah.
So thus we have a little bit of knowledge on what might happen.
Made.
Yeah. So
the alignment was complete before the season started.
Wait, is that true? Is that true though? Talk to Rince. It might not be done yet. No, but for real, let's start off with the Carolina Football Conference, and we'll just tap on these because they're not very, because obviously we don't know too much, but also because Carolina Football Conference has a bunch of nobodies, good coaches, good new friends. Did I cough into the mic? Did that not get picked up?
What mic is that?
the hell?
Good God, my ears.
Okay. All right. Anyways, so in the Carolina Football Conference, as far as notable teams go, the Citadel, which we already touched on, Furman, I believe, has a new coach. Presbyterian, whose coach is in here, and there's probably a couple other that I'm completely forgetting. North Carolina Central, who got clapped as well into the Shadow Realm. Actually, let's talk about North Carolina Central for a second here. Tenny, give us wait, I don't know if you were around, but I'll just do it then. North Carolina Central playing Dayton.
Wasn't.
Yeah, playing Dayton. He had, what was it? He had a 4th and 19, 4th and 29, I think it was. Yeah, it was a 4th and 29. And Dayton got a 25-yard pass to make it 4th and 4, or it was a 3rd and 29. So he made it a 4th and 4. Then got a 20-yard pass into the end zone to score a touchdown while already being behind, and North Carolina Central just dipped. I think never to be seen again. And suffice to say, I don't know if NCC is going to be making it into the conference slate strongly, but it doesn't seem likely. I think personally, my picks to be at the top would be Presbyterian, just because I don't know. I feel like the boys will be able to carry them, and then probably the North. I don't know, maybe Gardner Webb or something like that. What do you guys think?
I feel like Presbyterian is a safe bet, but just because we don't have enough to talk about as far as the Citadel goes, like they were good 1 week, but that's 1 week. I think they can definitely take the conference. So I think that's definitely the riskier bet. And yeah, the North Division, like, I don't really know who it's gonna be, but they're not gonna win the conference championship game.
I don't know, those Elon Firebirds. That was so crazy. We could have had a losing team in the playoffs if Elon had just won out. That
was Lamar, right?
Lamar too, yeah.
Lamar. Oh, maybe it was Lamar.
Elon
had a chance.
Yeah,
though.
It was Lamar because they beat McNeese in the last week of the regular season.
That week they won
McNeese twice.
And Lamar or not
just
Lamar,
ruined McNeese's season.
McNeese, and he lost this week too. I feel so bad for McNeese. Funny. Once 5-0, number 1. Some might have said an obvious choice for the top spot, but let's move on here to the Ivy, a bit more well known. You got Brown, Columbia, Cornell, Dartmouth, Harvard, Penn, Princeton, and Yale. A conference the size of one division of the Delta Intercollegiate. Tenny, what's your take on this?
I mean, I think it's shaping up to be another strong conference this year. I mean, they have some good coaches returning. They didn't lose a whole lot. They lost Brown, right?
Yep.
But then they added Penn, which was old Bettine Cookman.
Yep.
Which is, if anyone remembers the preseason poll that I posted, they were the favorites, or not favorites, but most selected as who people thought would win the championship. So that's definitely a strong ad, and I think they might end up being the best conference this season, overtaking the Big Sky from last year.
I think so too. It's so densely packed with teams, and Penn just took a game against Campbell. Yeah.
Campbell.
Oh yeah, Yale left for Hawaii. That's right, but
and Harvard
they gained
collapsed
Chattanooga
for Yale, so that's still a pretty strong pickup.
Yeah, it's maybe even it's maybe equal.
I think it was a lot more clear entering week one, as far as who would be at the top of the Ivy, but Princeton's result in a safe sort of facet as Montana's result this week, you know, like
getting smacked.
It may just be a flash in the pan, you know, and they come back with a vengeance in the coming weeks. If hear me out here, like, it's maybe a hot take, but it's possible that both of them see a decline in their results this season, you know, and that's not really even a dagger, you know. They had incredible seasons last year with very few losses, so if they end up sliding to the middle of the pack, quote unquote, you know, like 4 or 5 loss team, you know, they're still probably in playoff contention, you know, but we might see a little bit of a regression as the rest of the league's middle starts to improve, you know.
Yeah, totally.
It'll be interesting. That's like, I think that's going to be the most interesting storyline coming out of week one. Big dogs sort of stumbling out of the gate, you know.
Yeah, and like we saw Dartmouth, who was projected to be like what mid around or middle of the pack, kind of smack around, like you were saying, and then Princeton getting smacked as well.
It's a whole new ball game really in the Ivy League.
See that all the what do we call it, cannibalism that the Ivy had starting conference last season might just progress through out of conference too, and just good teams losing, bad teams winning.
Yeah, they seem kind of like a hot and cold conference. Like they go through stretches where every team looks good at one point and they look terrible at other points.
Yeah, Brady would love them. Up down, up down, up down. Up down theory.
They're just passing the hot potato. They're just throwing Uno reverse cards out at each other. Oh, you take the win. Oh, you take the win.
Yeah. Well, we should move on to the CAA. So in the North, or say notable teams, I mean, we talked about Youngstown State, who's Joe at the moment. Villanova left for what team? I can't remember. Cincinnati, and just took down, the number 5 team or something like that in FBS.
Maybe, yeah.
So they obviously lost a good coach there. Also, we have a robot in chat, it seems. Delaware State, who I think actually took a delay a game or something like that, is in the South.
Unsurprising.
Yeah, I know. I sent him a little into maybe not the shadow realm, but the shade realm, the shade area, in the playoffs. And then James Madison is in there, and there's probably going to be some up and comers as well. Do you guys have any takes on this conference?
You could literally flip a coin and have a better chance of getting who was going to be at the top, right? You know, because there were 2 coaches, and I guess Delaware State you can still consider because they won it, you know. But there was Towson and there was James Madison as far as notable teams in there, and they're both gone. So, not James Madison, Villanova, last season, and they're both out of there, for greener pastures. So
yeah. And like last year, the North Division winner was Morgan State, and they were Boise for half a game.
It's like it's not like any team is really performing super well right now out of the gate. You know, James Madison is getting clapped. Any others? I think Towson quit. Right, the Towson left earlier today. William and Mary lost. Richmond lost. They're in the CAA, right?
Yeah. Who?
Yeah.
All the CAA teams are still losing.
They quit as well. Richmond quit as well.
Yeah.
The Quitters Conference.
Looks like it. So
that would be Boomer's mic, if anyone's wondering.
I don't even know what's going on.
I don't know what's going on.
Roboto.
Do something. Do something that isn't
gonna keep
talking
doing it.
more.
Okay, I'm done.
All right.
I just put it
Oh.
on speaker on my phone.
Okay.
Arigato, Mr. Robot.
Good. All right. Well, we should quit on this conference too. We'll go on to the conference that's Hampton, Howard, and Friends. Also, I'm noticing a discrepancy here. I see Morgan State in the top of in the north of the CAA division, and Morgan State in the Atlantic division of the MAC.
Baba said
Oh,
something
that's-
about that in the conference affiliation channel.
You're right.
Yeah, there's like an edit to that.
Norfolk State is supposed to be in the MAAC spot. So
Gotcha. Still not notable. So
yeah,
anyways, we have the Aryan. Somebody else pronounce it for me. Is it just Aryan Dak?
Adirondack.
Adirondack.
Dude, I'm dyslexic as
Aryan.
hell.
All right, Hitler.
Yikes.
Aryan.
Oh, Tenny's turning off.
Jenny is getting.
Oh boy. But yeah, what do you guys think about the superior division, the Aryans are back division?
Who's the?
I'm definitely gonna, like, if there was any chance of monetization, it's out the door now. But anyways,
yeah, no, we got fucked.
Because we were going to get so many views.
yeah, no, I think 34 though.
I'll let you know
last
that I gave it a
episode.
whole 3 views in the last episode.
Hey, that's perfect. There's not even
Honestly-
a tab for monetization or anything. They're like, you are so worthless as a content creator that don't even worry about it. Anyways, what do you guys think?
I've made 30 cents from YouTube through my videos.
What?
I just want to say that I'm a professional content creator. So
Well, let's catch you at
Girl
VidCon
School
next
Me
year.
was a champ. Put me on trending, dude.
I was going to say that the MAC is honestly a pretty inactive conference. I mean, most of their people are new, but I honestly could see. I don't know a lot about it, but I do know that it's not the most active conference. So I could
Mm-hmm.
honestly see any team winning it.
Yeah.
If it's, yeah.
I'm looking at their chat, and we have Colgate, who said thank you to me last Tuesday for putting him in the right conference after I messed up. And the rest is just Hampton and Baba. So.
Well, I forgot Hampton there. Yeah, Hampton's really the only team that anybody knows.
Mhm. Hampton and Howard, my boy Howard.
And Howard.
Oh, I forgot that.
Howard is the Tulsa of the FCS.
This is
Or
gonna
the
be a-
Toledo. My bad.
Toledo. I was like, okay, because they aren't well known, or are they from Oklahoma? No, that makes sense.
No, Toledo, because they were
They
the
got
team that got snubbed playoffs by
Yeah.
the committee.
We should have kicked the commissioner out, like FBS should have season 1. Who was that? Or not the commissioner, the yeah, whatever. You get what I mean. Haha, funny, screw Tenny. All right, moving on.
I think the MAC is. I just think the MAC is similar to the Carolina Football Conference, where whoever wins in the Adirondack division is just fodder
The area.
for whoever comes out of Hampton or Howard as, on the top in
Yeah.
their division. You know.
Yeah, it's gonna be like that. I mean, like, these teams at one point had active coaches, like Lafayette, Lehigh, Colgate, St. Francis, I suppose, Georgetown, of course, and yeah, no, they're all missing their active.
What's the
their
lowest
active guys.
Elo jobs? Who has
Bryant
the lowest
still.
Elo? I mean, but like,
Bryant.
what is their score?
Well, Delaware has the lowest ELO who isn't
Until
Brian.
What's their like number score?
What was the question? In
probably
classic
like low
Danny ignorance.
1400s.
You said 11.
But I can pull it up in like
I'm
they're
not.
not good.
Bucknell is the lowest in the Adirondack, and Georgetown is the lowest in the Atlantic. Actually, speaking of the Atlantic, Howard has the highest. Hampton and
Oh my
Hampton
god.
is in the lower half.
That division is
All
bad.
changes to include. I feel bad for anybody that gets clapped by BFB as Bryant.
Oh yeah,
Like
their
their
elo.
elo
Oh yeah,
going down the shit.
Yeah, it's going down the shitter.
Well, that's why we have. I think Jock still has the coach specific elo, but still.
Yeah.
Anyways, let's
Is
move on.
elo one of those things where the average will always be the starting place of 1,500?
Yeah.
Yes, because you.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a zero-sum game. Yeah.
It's
Okay.
it's just like the 538 NFL EO.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
So let's go to the America East here, or as Tenny recently found out that it's not the American East. Great. I was gonna say vice president, but not even that. What even are you? What do you do here, Tenny? Anyways,
He
I
doesn't
don't-
even go here.
I don't know. I just kind of hang out and shit talk.
I guess not even that. You're on vacation, slacker. Anyways, America East, we got Bryant. Maine is in, or this is the New England division, because now new divisions. Bryant.
Finally,
Yeah.
you're welcome for that. That's my parting gift from the American.
I thought you were like anti divisions.
No, it was just that we had 10 teams last year
Oh,
because
gotcha.
Long Island and Merrimack were added this season, so it makes a lot.
No, yeah, I gotcha. I thought you were like Bulls suck as well as divisions, but anyways, we're all learning.
Bulls suck.
Bulls
Divisions are
awful.
like I can live with them. You know, I have no opinion either.
Okay, gotcha. All right, before anyone can make
It's-
any other
that's
opinions
not
about
how it-
Bulls.
Yes, so you know what? Like,
Okay. As well in the New England division is nobody really of note. I guess
Maine.
Holy Cross. No, I already said Maine. I said Maine and Bryant.
oh,
But
you did okay.
yeah,
Alright.
in the Tri-State,
Tri-State
division.
division is a really interesting one.
Yeah, Sacred Heart and Stony Brook, I guess, are the two interesting ones yet again. Although neither of them have their are
New
being
coaches.
main coached. I mean, Sacred Heart's still Naki for now because Cannibal gave him up.
Sacred Heart.
But Sacred Heart probably
What a
won't be Naki
gentleman.
forever. Yeah,
I don't know. It might be not.
Men of Heart. Anyways, Keo, let's start with you because you are now looking outside, or you're outside looking in at this conference. What do you have to say?
Yeah, I'll always have a soft spot for the America East, you know, and like in real life, my affiliation is like my fandom is with Stony Brook, so
Mhm.
definitely a little bit biased. Watching Uga's results like a hawk, but Tri-State division is gonna be insane because you have Val at Albany, you know, and she's capable.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Central Connecticut is the same guy from last season, and he, you know, wasn't good, wasn't bad. You know, he was middle of the table and in a poor conference, which is for what it's worth. River Ride from MLR's Fordham, which is a pretty good team, or a pretty good coach, I should say. Long Island is a double dipper. I don't remember who, but like every team in that conference is more than in that division, I should say, is more than capable of holding their own, which is absolutely absurd. Like I don't think there's ever been a conference where all of the teams are super capable, you know, because like even in the Big Sky you had Weber State in one division, you had Portland State was pretty bad, right?
Mm-hmm.
But like every team in that division is more than capable of winning a lot of games, and the fact that they all have to play each other, you know,
Yeah.
because they're division opponents, you know, like that's gonna be insane. And Long Island and Sacred Heart, you know, are still double dippers, but I don't think anybody's gonna be taking Long Island. Like, let's be real, they're new to the real FCS, so there's nobody that's
Nobody that could be
really
affiliated.
gonna, they're gonna be one of the last teams taken out of away from a double dipper.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as the New England division goes, I think a lot of it will come down to just like how long BFB stays at Bryant.
Yeah.
I
that's
think
true.
any team could really win in that. I can assure you that people that live in New York City will not take Long Island as a team. That will not be their first.
Yeah, I don't know.
Even
anything
Long
about-
Islanders won't take Long Island.
Wait, what about the Impractical
Yeah.
Jokers?
All right, fuck that show, dude. That's awful.
Wait, what? No, that's amazing
just terrible.
television.
No, it isn't. Stop lying.
Yes, it is. It's so
But
good. All right, we can have this conversation later.
I'm just gonna politely decline debating that because you're incorrect.
Whatever helps you sleep at night,
Hofstra actually
dude.
did have a football team, and in the 2000s, but when Stony Brook went up to the FCS and moved from the Big South to the CAA, I believe, Hofstra literally just shut down their football team because they didn't want their like recruiting hotbed of Long Island to be a competition.
Mm.
So instead of like having it be a competition, they just canceled themselves.
That's a
I mean,
Kevin
that's the
Durant move.
Hofstra way,
I've
I
never
guess.
heard one.
Sad trombone. I think if I had to give a prediction, I think Bryant will win the New England division, and
I can't wait to see what their ELO is. After
yeah,
that.
holy. I don't know who's gonna win the Tri-State. I'll just say Stony Brook 'cause I'm totally biased, but any of them could really win it.
How many people live on Long Island? It isn't that many.
All right. There's like a few million in Suffolk County, which is only one of the
That's
two
the one
counties.
right outside of New York, though, right?
No, that's Nassau County. Get your shit together, dude.
Oh yeah.
I can pull it up exactly for you, but like my particular town of Brookhaven was like bigger.
Holy shit! 7.5 million. I didn't realize it was that big. Congrats.
I'm pulling up the exact number right now.
7.568 million.
No. There was 500,000 in my town of Brookhaven. So, when I lived there, so it's not big as the United States, but yeah, that's true. No, it's big. A very small part of land. Anyways, I totally digress.
That's okay. We can talk about cheese at pallets later.
That sounds awesome.
Or goldfish, my bad. But
Fruit snacks.
we have something from Drew here. I'll just say it here. He says, "Sorry to Jags this real quick, but want to get it out there before I log off for the next few days. Harvard will win the Ivy. That is all." He says, "Harvard will win the Ivy." All right. Interesting take.
That's a bold take, but
See, the only thing that makes
I don't think it's the craziest thing that you could have said.
They're not like a bottom feeder, but they're not like a top dog, you know. So
They weren't a favorite going in, but
then
like
then
you said,
again,
it's a very turbulent conference.
Yeah, I have no idea.
yeah, I mean,
Or
whatever. Or they're gonna completely poop out. Like, who was his dark horse last year? Was it Penn? I guess.
Yeah, it was Penn.
And before Jocks, they were trash. Very dark horse indeed. Although I guess they did pick up later in the season. Either way,
as long as everybody has fun, that's all I'm not.
I don't know. Harvard did beat Samford pretty convincingly, 35-7, and then, now that I'm looking at it, I guess Samford is in an up and coming conference. So if they pick up come conference play, that might be a good win. I don't know what Harvard's out of conference looks like continually, but
They got me out of conference 3, so week 5.
Although I guess he didn't really talk about being the best. He just said win the Ivy. So they have to win in conference games.
Tiebreakers to the championship game and feel it, I guess.
You're right. Anyways, we'll go quickly through the last 5 because we spent a lot of time, and I want to have a little bit of time to answer questions.
Sorry,
so
digress.
We'll try and do this briefly, but I know that we're gonna fail. Big Sky Conference, 3 of us are in it. Let's let Boomer talk about it.
I'll try to be as impartial as possible here, but Cal Poly is winning the South.
All right.
I don't fucking care what happens in the North.
Same, but in reverse. Actually, same. Cal Poly can win the South, whatever. But I do care what's happening in the North. Anyways, I want Boomer to talk about it because I want Boomer to say whatever.
I'll see which side he's on.
Oh gosh. I mean,
Choose
Montana
your
got
words wisely.
Montana got ass blasted by what's his face, Dartmouth, but I mean they're still going to be a contender. Montana State, Danny is always good, so that'll be a
Not true,
team to
but keep
watch out
going.
for. I mean,
Keep saying that.
it's just there's a lot of teams that have the potential to be good, but I mean, obviously, as we've seen, the results haven't been
Yeah.
ideal. We'll say that they haven't been ideal for the conference. So I think that as the year goes on, it'll get better. But at the same time, week 1 is a very important week in the season, and that that it will get better for the Big Sky.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we sort of thrived off of out of conference domination last year, and we're only 500 right now.
Yeah.
So
I maybe this is definitely a hot take, but I think Weber State is somebody to really.
Damn it! I was gonna say that.
Yeah, no, they're dominant in MLR. I mean, not dominant. They're pretty good in MLR.
Well, here's the question then. Since we ditched Northern Colorado for Weber State, do you think they're going to be on caliber, better, or worse than what Northern Colorado was?
You mean Dixie? I think you mean Dixie State instead of Northern Colorado, right?
Dixie State.
No, we tossed Northern Colorado.
I mean, for Northern Colorado. He meant Dixie State.
No, we in the North Division.
Yeah, Dixie State replaced Norco.
No. I'm talking about in the North Division.
Oh, okay, in the North Division. Got it.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting for a few coaches, including myself, because Towson was pretty good last season in the CAA, but a lot of that can be sort of excused in some people's eyes. Those wins so well, it was the fucking CAA, you know? And similar to the America East, which is basically just the Big Sky South now. So I think win-loss wise, you know, and his result this week, I think it's definitely he's the sleeper of this division, and the fact that you guys are all gonna eat each other alive, you know, more or less. And I would be shocked to see if anybody comes out division play with 0 losses, right? If he can pull off a few wins, like, he's more than capable, I think. And if he's not, if he ends up losing a lot of games, you know, then maybe those saying, well, his wins were in the CAA, like, that's more justified. But at this point, I think it's one of the most interesting stories of the Big Sky as a whole, you know, including myself. And as much as Dixie State, as Holy Cross only had 1 game, and that was my overtime game with them, I should say. I think the same can be said for him because he's super active, you know, and in all of his games so far, his 2 meaningful games, right? I don't mean to sly on the mega bracket, but
that's okay.
Yeah.
Like, his 2 meaningful games, he was he was inches away from winning, right? And he just couldn't pull it out. So another really interesting story there. Also, Southern Utah is a double dipper right now, so that's always going to be interesting.
I think another
that's right.
could have been slept on is San Diego.
Xand is always slept on.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, I think there'll be some interesting ones. I think San Diego at Cal Poly or Cal Poly, whatever. When you two play, that's gonna be.
Yeah, that's the last week of the season.
I think that could very well determine the division.
Yeah.
For sure. All right, let's move on because I'm sure we're gonna get a lot of opportunities to talk about that in future episodes. We'll go on to the Great Plains Conference. We have Drake, who just got a new coach. That's not Brady. North Dakota State, Northern Colorado, who is fresh but also very good in their opening game. Northern Iowa in the Prairie Division, who are notable. And then in the Metro, of course, Butler and Dayton, the big boys. And then the rest are mid-range guys who could easily step up and challenge them for the title. Kenny, I want to hear your takes, a fresh set of eyes on this, not having seen many of the games.
Wait, which one? Sorry, I missed which.
Great Plains Conference, either division. Anything.
I mean, the Missouri Valley Conference?
It says Great Plains Conference in the screenshot, and I'm going to go with whatever Chase...
Yeah, well, that's Baba's fault. They voted on it. It's Missouri Valley.
All right, it's fine. I mean...
Yeah, I mean... I feel like it's one of those top-heavy conferences. You've got Northern Iowa, Butler, and Dayton, who I feel are all very strong teams that were good playoff teams from last year, and then some kind of unknown teams. But I mean, I like those three to continue again this year. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I hope Northern Iowa loses this week, but he's still a great coach that put together one of the best records last year. And Dayton had that great run to end last season, making it all the way to the Final Four.
Yep.
Right? Yeah. It'll be a fun conference. I just hope that maybe the bottom of the conference gets a little bit better so that they have a stronger, like, overall conference resume. Because I know that was something that kind of hurt some of the teams. Like, UNI, what were they? What was their record in the regular season? And like
God, it was
Chase
double
only had like
digits.
2 losses, and he was still sweating it out to try and get a top 8 seed, just because the rest of his conference was not that great. So it'd be cool to see, the rest of that conference kind of come around and win some out of conference games and turn it into a true power conference.
Yeah, for sure. And they have interesting scheduling in conference. I won't say bad. I'll say interesting for now, at least publicly. And yeah, no, there's some top and there's some bottom. It's gonna be fun to watch though. Anybody else have some takes on this one?
Yeah,
No.
I feel.
Yeah, no. Go ahead.
Sorry, I felt like I was interrupting there. Every time I feel like we talk about Dayton, and we always sort of talk about how they're new, and that they're probably gonna regress as people start to catch on to them, right? But I don't see that really happening, like this week is not a full game, like because their opponent went MIA after getting clapped for a few minutes. But I think they're I think a lot of people were high on Butler to start the season, and rightfully so, but I think we entered this season with lower expectations of Dayton than we should, and I think they're gonna tear it up, because as much as you can say that somebody's first win or two is due to being new, and people don't know you, that you don't get to the playoff semifinals. No matter how many games you play, right? You could have entered in week round 1 of the playoffs, and you're not going to make it to the semifinals just because you're new. So I think they're going to pop off. That's all.
Yeah, I mean, I'm inclined to agree, mostly because I played him, and I'm sure Tenney. Well, no, Tenney lost to Drew, didn't he? But Drew then lost to Dayton, so I'm sure Tenney can corroborate that. They're a very good coach, and like I find that the teams that trip me up are the unpredictable ones, and boy are they unpredictable. But definitely not RNG level, because I think he did like the same number 5 times in a row, something like that.
And that's the kind of mind games that
absolutely
win championships, though. Like
Yeah,
absolutely
the entire. I sort of wish you guys talked about scouting in my interview, but the entire concept of conditioning your opponent into doing things is so, or into believing you're gonna do something. It's such a unique aspect of this kind of game. The only thing similar is fighting games, like Street Fighter, Smash Bros, and like the fact that this is at a slower pace than those, because it's turn based as opposed to mashing buttons for a few minutes, right? I mean, that's what I do, but there are so many head games, and I think Dayton has proven over the playoffs that's their strong point, and that's one of the most lethal strong points in anybody's game. So they're gonna pop up again. So
pump up the jam. All right, let's move on to the Southland. We got Incarnate Word. We got Incarnate Word. We got Prairie View. No, I guess Prairie View isn't really a powerhouse anymore, are they? Sam Houston.
Were they ever?
They were. They were my boys. They were like 4-1 or something like that. Anyways.
Yeah, with like 5 incomplete games.
That's neither here nor there. And we get the Louisiana division, or Louisiana, Grambling State, Lamar. McNeese
Lamar's winning
State.
that division again.
So Lamar is the one that forced Towson to quit, right? They are winning 52-16 right now.
Yeah, Cannibal. Yeah.
Early second quarter.
Early second.
Well, yes. A lot of that was delay games, but yeah.
But still, delay games is only 16 points.
Yeah.
Until you forfeit.
So it's like what 40 or something like that points just from.
Yeah.
It's still a murder.
Yeah.
Beyond a murder.
So
How's it going, boys?
Hey.
Oh, hey Brady.
That's
Hey,
our
Dad.
man.
Is that the man, the myth, the legend?
Hello.
No, it's Brady.
What have I missed?
There is no way that's sorry.
There
Like
are
the-
7 million people on Long Island. That's what you missed.
7.5 million.
500,000. Yeah, okay.
They
Pretty
won't
much the
talk.
entire
We'll get
show.
into the dick deep.
Actually, you'll be in here in time. In fact, I'll just take a quick take on Southland, and then we'll head to the Dick so that Brady can talk. Incarnate Word, obviously another double dipper. I feel like they're not a big popular team either, so I don't think that they're gonna get taken super quickly. So I think that NCS is gonna be able to kind of carry that enough through conference to win that division. I don't really see anybody standing up to him so far. I mean, there might be like Sam Houston State or some new rando who comes in, and then in the Louisiana division, like you guys were saying, probably Lamar. I pegged Lamar for top defense this year, and everybody laughed, but I think I'll have the last laugh when it all comes down to it. And then between that, I really think that Incarnate Word will be taken before the end of the year, so I think that whoever wins the Louisiana division is probably going to win it all. I don't think that there's a shoe-in for the clear winner like there are in some other divisions. All right, so let's move on to the DIC.
The Dick.
The
Pronounce it correctly.
The dong.
I'm not even gonna. Brady, you should know everything head to tail about this conference. I'm gonna put you on the
Cock
spot.
the ball.
Yo,
Thank you very much.
You missed the head to shaft joke, dude. Come on, man.
Hey,
Balls
hey,
to
this
shaft,
is
but okay.
this is my Christian Minecraft server. I ain't
All
saying that. All right, Brady, go.
Monetization's gone, dude. Who
You guys, anyways, go ahead.
blew it?
Oh, I'm up. All right.
Get it?
Well,
Haha.
first of all, I beat the onion ring eater. Like, who the fuck does that? Who goes to the B-dubs and only orders onion rings? He deserves to lose.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah. No, he's unranked for the death
Like-
sentence.
Like, exactly. Who the fuck does that? Like, that's some semi-pro shit right there. And then we have my boy
Fucking amateur.
AP with the big comeback, beating Dixie State. That's nice to see. My boy Poet beats his former school Maine by like 15 points, swinging that big dick around. Ed lost, but we won't talk about that. What else happened in the dick? Let me see what did UCA do? He isn't. Have any of you guys seen? What
UCA.
is Central Arkansas done?
Central
he
Arkansas?
Northern Arizona 14-0. Shocker. Yeah, the Dick's swinging it around right now, and I'm pretty proud of that. So, and I
Such
just
a
got
fucking
great
child,
taken
dude.
from me. And since William and Mary died this week, I'm gonna try to play them next week and just fucking show them what the Dick's all about. So,
All right. Shove a fat one.
Don't blow your load too early, dude. Still got 10 weeks to go.
yeah.
Oh my
Is
goodness.
Brady actually Virgil, Texas? I don't know what that means, but sure.
See, when we get the results from the census that's going to be taken, it's going to be a shocker when we see that there's only like 1% girls. But anyways, yeah. Does anyone else have
Yo,
any
I'm a
take?
little anime girl. So,
GIRL, girl, guy in real life.
girl, I'm a girl.
Small girl. Any other takes? Going once, going twice, 3
Campbell
times.
will rattle off about 5 straight
No,
wins
I meant
after
about the
that Giants
DIC,
loss.
you noob.
Oh, and the Dick. Well,
The
sorry,
Dick.
I wasn't here for like an hour and a half.
I
so
know.
I gotta catch up with him.
That's what I called you.
We're
noob.
done now.
All right, then forget about it.
Speaking of which, we do have to talk about the A-Sun.
Yes, I was just gonna say we need to get to that Atlantic Sun. This is the big conference. This is the big name boys. The boys are back. They're back in town. a bunch of new coaches. I've been in their conference chat quite a lot, and they are active because what Baba has been talking about, and what I have to really agree is that they rally around each other because they know, okay, it's out of conference, still got to support our teammates. We're going to play against each other, but for now, if we build up a strong out of conference, we're good. We're all new. We'll figure this out, and they just support each other, like till the end. And I don't see that in the Big Sky because pretty much everybody is experienced. Everybody kind of knows what they're doing, what they're about. They have their own scouting or whatever. But the Atlantic Sun is all about each other and supporting each other, and Campbell does a fantastic job running that. I have to give him props. If I had to pick a commissioner of the year, I would definitely put in the early running would be Campbell, because that boy rocks his conference. Does anyone else have something that they want to say?
Oh yeah, stay in FCS for life, baby.
Yeah, did you see that he announced that? He's gonna.
I did.
Yeah. Best news of the day.
It made me aroused.
Yeah, no, I think it's great, and they have had some pretty good results come through, and even the ones that aren't good, there's a positive mood about it that they'll be able to come back, get to the next game, and get a W. Not Brady, Tenny, I know you've been out, as we've been mentioning at least 50 times this podcast, but you are also able to look at that ASUN chat. Is there anything, maybe not even with the chat, maybe just with the teams that you see, that strikes you about this conference?
I mean, I just, like you said, they're all active, and I'm a strong believer that active coaches will tend to be better. I mean, look at everyone, like all the teams that were in the playoffs last year. Look at FBS, like the coaches that are around a lot more and interact with the community more they just end up being better. So I think even though they have a lot of new coaches, it's going to end up being a very strong conference. And they have a great commissioner in Campbell, who is one of the better coaches from last year coming around and one of the better community members. So I can see them being one of the top conferences and having, 3, 4, 5 playoff teams come whenever we do playoffs.
Yeah, absolutely.
My only take is I'm always biased towards the people that I play out of conference or in conference, that I beat, as they're better than the average person. But I really think Alabama A&M is a force to be reckoned with going forward.
Yeah.
That's
why I was always supporting you. I was like, hey, this Keo guy, he's still pretty good. He almost had me. Oh yeah, if it weren't for that fumble.
Yeah, I was so salty. Not gonna lie. After that game, I was like ready to.
What?
Well, didn't
And that's
you
what
look
got me
back?
hooked on this game.
Well,
The fact that picking numbers can get me that invested was actually great.
that I totally feel, because after Brady smacked me around, I was like, you know what? I gotta do scouting. I gotta get this.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Now, AP, I was a professional Hearthstone player, so you're goddamn right. I have a toxic relationship with numbers and RNG. I had Stockholm syndrome at this point.
Oh, yeah, good stuff. Like, I think a lot of people develop as they play this game to be different people. It's just such a unique thing. All right.
What is it about Bethune-Cookman and absolutely bitch smacking everyone they play, no matter who the coach is? They're beating Georgetown by like 40 right now. Like, what the fuck?
It's something about the fucking Pokemon profile,
Dude, I mean,
it's just like there's gonna be like an innocent.
Like, Poliwag ain't
team.
nothing compared to Shaman, but still, fuck.
Oh, we'll see, because who's coaching Georgetown? That game is the closest one to being done.
Dude, does it matter? It's 53-17.
That is a good point.
We're not.
Yeah, exactly.
Not wrong. Yeah.
Bethune-Cookman. I mean, Kennesaw State lost a close game against a playoff team last year. They're a team I think will be pretty good this upcoming year.
Mm-hmm. Well, I just looked at the
No.
the Youngstown State, and it looks like they're a new person from NCAA football series. But no, you're totally right. Although that's kind of been my thing. Oh, for sure, for Drew. And then what does Chase say? Chase says,
Yeah.
Something about
Who knows? Chase hasn't been on in like 3 months.
I don't
We
know.
all forget.
But yeah.
I don't even know who Chase is anymore.
He's-
Who
Chase is just fruit snack guy.
that?
Is Chase even Chase ready?
he's our resident Yee.
All right. Well, we should probably close this up here.
Life.
We're over the mark, and we have a lot to talk about in the post show. I'm sure with all these folks
Put
in
some
here.
more ads in now, guys.
Yeah. So thank you so much for tuning into the FCS or the late night FCS show. This has been Danny. We had Tenny, Boomer, Brady for a bit, and Keo. I hope you tune in next week, same time, same day. Have a good week and go FCS.